Good morning, everybody. Dave Neal here on this first Monday of the new year, January 6, 2025. I've got all of your news here in one place for your rush hour ride to work. And on this morning's episode, we've got tea being shared online, suggesting there may be a new Bachelor Nation couple brunching it up in Southern California. I'll explain who they think it might be. And plus, we have some bombshell reporting today regarding the Bachelor Clayton Echard paternity scandal. Receipts are emerging, which, by the way, I have, which show Laura Owens actually had nearly $500,000 in her bank just last year. This leads people to wonder why her father needs a GoFundMe for medical expenses. Also, folks are enraged at the shoddy journalism done by several news organizations giving free promotion to this grift. So actually, the money would have been from 2023, but we're going to discuss it. And it's like, it's a rich family that's made millions of dollars asking their fans for money. It'll be interesting to discuss. Plus, my thoughts on last night's Golden Globes. Nikki Glaser hosted the A-list event. I'll share some viral acceptance speeches. Plus, congestion prices go into effect in New York City. What this means and why the New York Fire Department has beef with the new policy. Also, Michael J. Fox awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. All these stories and more coming up next on The Rush. Well, let's start with some Bachelor Tea before we get into the Golden Globes, and we love a good unvetted Bachelor story. This was posted by a user on the Bachelor Nation subreddit. If you're listening on the audio-only version of the Rush Hour podcast, I'll describe what we're looking at. It's a photo of Brendan Moraes. The person says, "I was just at Great White in LA, and Brandon, Serene, and Bennett were all out having lunch. I'm almost convinced Serene and Brandon are together." Couldn't get a picture of her face, but I'm sure you get the point. And of course, it's just a photo of Brandon Moraes, and then it's also a photo of Brandon with Bennett and Serene from behind. I think we can all assume that this person didn't mistake this lady, and it is Serene. Now, it would be interesting because Serene was engaged to a different Brandon that she, of course, I want to say met on Bachelor in Paradise, but they had already met, or at least met online. Whereas Brendan Moraes was dating Piper James. Both couples dated, and it didn't work out. So I guess it would be good for Serene if she dates another Brandon. Although if you're like me, if you've ever dated someone, usually if it doesn't end well, that name, you can never date again. Like, I'll never date another Trisha. Don't ask about it. You know what I mean? You guys understand. So everyone's got like, unless you got a tattoo with somebody and you're like, oh, imagine having a tattoo of Jed. And then you're like, I got to get rid of this tattoo. And then you meet a good Jed and you're like, I guess if you are nice, I'll keep the tattoo. That's how it works. All right. So are they together or are they not? I mean, time will tell. It would be a very good looking couple. I mean, Brendan Moraes consistently considered one of the sexiest men to ever go on Bachelor, and Serene also extremely beautiful. So we'll have to see if there's any weight behind this new pairing here. And again, Paradise will be filming this spring, airing this summer. So, hey, maybe they'll be back on the beach. We will have to see. All right, let's get into the Golden Globes. I'll give you my thoughts as a comedian on how Nikki Glaser did, which, by the way, I thought was fantastic. I thought she nailed it. She was there. She didn't cross the line with any of her material. She was just all out, really good at doing her job. You never want to make too much news as the host of the show because it's easy to bomb in front of an audience of people that, are kind of worried about their self-image. It's a terrible audience. They're all just there to, take tequila shots in the back room and network with someone else's agent. You know what I mean? Here she is cracking Diddy jokes at the Golden Globes.
And Challengers Girl, oh my God, it was so good. I mean, that movie was more sexually charged than Diddy's credit card. I mean, seriously. Oh, no, I know, I'm sorry. I'm upset too. The after party's not going to be as good this year, but we have to move on. I know it, Stanley Tucci Freak-Off just doesn't have the same ring to it, but no baby oil this year, just lots of olive oil, okay?
There it is. All right. And I'll actually share another clip from TikTok, which shares she has a full monologue that's posted, but I'm just going to share the opening few lines. Have a listen to Nikki Glaser, comedian, stand-up, hosting last night's Golden Globe event.
Golden Globes, Ozempic's biggest night. If you're watching on CBS, hello. If you're watching on Paramount Plus, you have 6 days left to cancel your free trial.
There it is. All right, good for her. I thought it was fantastic. And let's go to some acceptance speeches. The first one was Shogun actor. Shogun won a bunch. Tadanobu Asano, he was the most precious person at the Golden Globes, says IMDb. We loved his exuberance. He actually, after winning the award, had to catch a flight back to Japan to film the next day. Here's what he had to say.
Wow, so maybe you don't know me. So I'm an actor from Japan. And my name is Tadanobu Asano. Wow! Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I'm during the filming, so I have to come back to Tokyo tonight. And tomorrow morning I go to shooting again. But this is very big present for me. Thank you so much.
I mean, wouldn't that be nice to just go through the security at TSA? They're like, you're pre-check, and you're like, I want to go to the full, give me the full security. I want everyone to see this hardware I won, but good for him. And for, from one out-of-town actor to another, we have Colin Farrell. He won for The Penguin. And you know what? Good on him for saying, you know what? I did it all on my own.
No one to thank on this one. I did it all by myself. Just a raw, paired away performance.
And then he goes on and actually thanks the people. But funny moment there, wins for The Penguin. And finally, Demi Moore shares that 30 years ago, she was told she was a popcorn actress. I guess what that means is you're there to look pretty and be in an action film. You're not awards material, as it were.
30 years ago, I had a producer tell me that I was a popcorn actress. And at that time, I made that mean that this wasn't something that I was allowed to have, that I could do movies that were successful, that made a lot of money, but that I couldn't be acknowledged. And I bought in, and I believed that.
Which, by the way, I don't mean to rain on her parade, but it's like she's an A-lister making millions of dollars in movies. It's like, okay, so you do some movies that you're a popcorn movie star. I don't know. You think like The Rock cares that he's not winning Oscars? Like he knows what he is, You're not in your G.I. Jane era anymore, and now you're making more art house good films. Good for her.
And that corroded me over time to the point where I thought a few years ago that maybe this was it. Maybe I was complete. Maybe I've done what I was supposed to do. And as I was at kind of a low point, I had this magical, bold, courageous, out of the box, absolutely bonkers script come across my desk called The Substance. And the universe told me that you're not done.
So there it is. And by the way, what a great testament. So many things in life that come to people come near a breaking point or a point where you're going to quit and you don't think you have anything left in the tank. So just another example, you think I'll never get another chance and then a good one comes. So happy for her. And speaking of happy, I mean, this story, we've covered it ad nauseum, but the story here of Baby Reindeer is just incredible. And this is Jessica Gunning. She took home a Golden Globe last night for Best Supporting Female Actor. Here's what she had to say.
This is an absolute honour. Honestly, there's a video of me when I was little. I was about 8 years old, and my mum and dad got me a hamster for Christmas, and they brought it out in this bin bag, in a cage, kind of thing, just in a bin bag. Happy Christmas. I've got a very Yorkshire accent, and I just kept saying, I can't believe this is happening to me. I can't believe this is happening to me. And I realised this morning that has been a kind of soundtrack for my life for this last year since Baby Reindeer came out. I cannot believe any of this is happening to me. And so I just want to say thank you to everyone who let me come on this journey. Thank you to Clerkenwell Films.
And of course, she thanks Richard Gadd, the creator, writer, and overall, he was the centerpiece of Baby Reindeer. It was a story that happened to him where he was stalked by a lady, I guess over 140,000 or 40,000, whatever it was, emails to him. And it was a whole crazy story. Well, that lady is now suing Richard Gadd because apparently there may have been some inaccuracies in the retelling of that story, which was one of Netflix's biggest movies. Here's a clip from a few months ago where Baby Reindeer's real Martha, her name Fiona Harvey, spoke to Piers Morgan regarding the portrayal of her in the Richard Gadd show Baby Reindeer.
think I was maybe mistaken, that I maybe did. And
No. I'm just saying, if we accept that the one that you admit to sending is in your own handwriting, he has another 105 letters in your handwriting.
Nonsense. It's nonsense.
Are you prepared for him to show that one?
He's maybe forged things. I mean, people forge a lot of things nowadays.
You think he could successfully write 105 letters to himself?
Well, I certainly didn't.
No, but you admit to sending one. My point is, if it turns out the other 105 are exactly the same handwriting, wouldn't that point to maybe...
we'd obviously bring in handwriting experts. I didn't do it.
You only sent one letter?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I haven't sent that guy 106 letters.
Do you still email people?
What do you mean?
Do you send emails?
Yeah.
Do you have the same email address you've always had?
I had 6 at one point.
Why?
Because I like to keep people on different phones and different emails.
Six different email accounts?
Maybe 4. I think it's 4 to 6, yeah. It's
four,
easier.
Four or
it's
six?
easier. So you have some for your utilities, some for close friends, whatever. Yeah.
The 6 is a lot.
Is it?
I don't know anybody with 6 email addresses.
You don't know many people then. I know people with 4 or 6.
I don't know anyone with 6 email addresses. The only one I know with like 3 or 4 email addresses is my mom, but that's because whenever she forgets her password, she'll just create a new email address. It's like, oh, I forgot who the password was, and she'll just create a whole new life. And like, it's like, spoiler, Mom, the password's my other brother's name. If you've ever found out you're not the family's password, then you're not the favorite child, okay? I went home to visit family. My mom, I was like, what's the Wi-Fi? And she was like, it's Jameson. And I was like, oh boy, you know what I mean? I thought I was the oldest son. I thought I could maybe be the family's password, but no, not the case. Now, anyway, why do I bring this up? Well, it's interesting because while you can compare Fiona Harvey in her just denial of being this character she was portrayed as, she, even when shared with evidence that she is who they say she was, she just would complete flat out deny. And it's kind of like, in some ways similar to the Bachelor Clayton Echard, Laura Owens case, where even though we have evidence completely refuting so many different claims of hers, she just flat out lies. And, I mean, what can you do? You just keep on sharing the truth. All right. Coming up next, we have a couple NFL stories as the regular season has finally ended. And in the first story, Aaron Rodgers responds to reports that he could be ending his career, not just with the Jets, but retiring entirely. Here's what he had to say in response.
Aaron, Ian Rappaport said this morning, people close to him I know are preparing for the fact that this could be his last game in the NFL. What is your reaction to that?
People say they were close to me?
Yeah, people that Ian talked to, yeah.
He's like, nobody's close to me, including my parents. So maybe he retires, maybe he doesn't. Listen, my Patriots had an abysmal year. The only thing going for them is that they did so bad they were going to get the number 1 draft pick in the upcoming season. And what did the Patriots do to blow it? They won yesterday. Can you believe that? All they had to do was lose the game. They were 3-13 playing a 13-3 team. All they had to do was not win, and they won, which dropped them from the number 1 position as in number 1 loser to the number 4 position. We'll have to see what that means for my sad New England Patriots. Now, look, we've won enough Super Bowls in our day. It's time to dole them out to others. I'm like a billionaire fan as far as Super Bowls go. We just collected it all. Let's socialize it out to some of the other teams. Now, what's interesting is when the season ends, you get these weird performance bonuses. Sometimes it's like, if this guy gets one more catch, he could get an extra $100,000. Well, here's an interesting one. This is Fitzs here telling the story of how he helped Jacquizz Rodgers earn an extra $500,000. Have a listen. And this was on the Fitz and Wit podcast. Have a listen.
Would a guy ever come to you in the locker room and go, hey, man, listen, I got an incentive next week. That's our last chance to get it. Are you going to be looking for me? I don't know anything about this. I'm a lineman. Nobody cares what we do. But for you, like the receiver wants a football. Does that come up?
So, there was one, Jacquizz Rodgers, played at Oregon State. I was on the Bucs with him, running back. Unbelievable human being, great teammate. When I was in Tampa, he wasn't making a ton of money relative to other NFL players. I think he had like a $500,000 incentive if he hit 35 catches. We were well aware at the end of the season. I think he ended up with 38. It was like, we got to get Quiz his money because this dude is a true professional. He comes to work every day. He doesn't complain. And this is something that within a game, we can be cognizant of this. I can check the ball down 2 more times than I normally would, probably help my quarterback rating rather than forcing it down the field. But Jacquizz was a guy we wanted to get those numbers.
So there it is. Quick $500,000. Should I get some podcast performance numbers for 2025? I don't know what those should be, but hey, I'm willing to do it for you guys. All right. Well, listen, nobody's been covering the Bachelor Clayton Echard case on Instagram better than Justice for Clayton Official. It's like the main source for all the information. Well, I think on Thursday or Friday, right around New Year's, it was revealed that there was a GoFundMe for Ron Owens, which is Laura Owens' father. He's had multiple bouts of cancer, so he says, I haven't seen his medical information. I can assume he's not lying about that. And he's had to ask for money, I guess, from his fans. So they launch a GoFundMe looking for $60,000. It does well, hits the 60 grand, so they boosted it up to 100,000. And as of the recording, it's at like 85,000. What's so interesting about this is that obviously Ron Owens, he was one of the biggest voices of San Francisco. He's in the National Radio Hall of Fame, which is, I guess, what they gave to people before podcasts came out. And he did really well. He made millions of dollars. He made $1 million a year. He did really well. Well, now it's being reported there are versions of the story about Ron Owens that are being edited, and what they call like a dirty delete is happening. So they've gotten a lot of great press. MSN News, they've been in like the San Francisco Chronicle. I'm going to cover this more in today's live stream, but it's fascinating that they are able to not just get the press, but then control what the journalists say about it. So on one end, they are uncovering that Laura Owens' mom may have faked winning a Peabody Award, which is what Laura said to me, like, no offense to you, you're not a real journalist. My mom won a Peabody Award. Whereas it turns out the company she worked at, that's like saying you won a Golden Globe when the TV show you were on won a Golden Globe. It's like, did you or did you not? Do you have the hardware? You know what I mean? Hey, and maybe she does. And this might sound fickle and not that interesting, but there's a lot of money on the line here. Laura owes Clayton $150,000 in legal fees, and people are wondering, is the money they're raising actually going to Ron Owens' health, or is it going to what might be a criminal defense fund as she's being investigated by county prosecutors? I don't have the answers to that, but it very clearly says the GoFundMe is supporting Ron Owens. It's not saying it's going to his medical expenses. And then in several of the articles, they changed the way they cover the story. San Francisco Chronicle is receiving lots of emails right now, and stories are being written about them because they initially covered the fact that Laura Owens had a court case with Clayton Echard, and then after, I guess, information came out that their initial coverage was wrong, they said that the case was dismissed. Now, the case was not dismissed. He won, he won the judgment that she has to pay his legal bills, and the judge found that she should be investigated by the county prosecutors. So what they posted was, Owens admitted to altering her sonogram and pregnancy test results, but maintained she was pregnant at the time. That was the original factual line from the San Francisco Chronicle. It was later taken out, which of course was by the Ron Owens family. So you're looking at this going, oh my gosh, like what the heck is going on where they're able to infiltrate journalists who are supposed to be impartial, share the truth, and get things removed like that is absolutely insane. Well, Laura also said that she made $200,000 a year in her, working with her mom. So the question they pose here is, should Ron's fans have to pay his bills when his live-in wife made $200,000 a year? And I don't know if that's $200,000 each or total. Either way, I'm here to tell you this. I've received the receipts from Clayton Echard's camp that share that Laura Owens claimed to have nearly $500,000 in a money market account that was supposed to be earmarked for buying a property. Whether she actually used that to buy a property or is that money even hers, I don't have the ability to look into the bank account. I'm going to be covering this later on this morning in a live live stream on YouTube. So buckle up for that. It's absolutely wild. It's wild to think you got $500,000 in your pocket. And you might say, well, she used that money to buy homes. Well, if they're so tight on their expenses, why are they buying horses, buying homes? She's someone called her a failure to launch daughter in her 30s, living in the back house of the family house. On one end, you want to feel bad for them, but on the other, it's absolutely wild that folks still don't know about the grift and are willing to donate to a family who in part has either A, blown all of their money due to gambling, as he kind of believes that might be the case, or B, uses this money to, in Laura's case, harass these men that she claims knocked her up with twins. Very interesting stuff. I'm going to share next a clip from a guy who is talking about this case, Rich Lieberman. He is, I guess, in the radio scene there in San Francisco. So I'll share what he has to say regarding the Ron Owens issues coming up next. So this is, like I said, Rich Lieberman discussing some of the Ron Owens issues that were not brought up in the press piece.
Ron had some issues in life with regards to gambling. It's an addiction. It's in and of itself a sickness. Now, I don't want to go into specifics, but there are reasons to which his financial situation could be in peril. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, no, look, and I reported this about a month ago, right? I covered this before anyone talked about this, which was that my sources were telling me that Ron Owens is broke. We knew he was broke, which, I don't care about this family in one way whatsoever, other than they used, like Laura used the fact that she came from this high power family to intimidate these guys into not wanting to go into any litigation with her. And now we're finding out they're begging their fans for money because they can't even afford, medical expenses, which I can empathize with medical costs, but he's supposed to be retired and on Medicare. He's a guy who made $1 million a year. And all of a sudden, they need to raise all this money. What's it going to go towards? Here is the next clip where he actually talks about Ron Owens' daughter. Doesn't want to comment too much about it, but it's like, boy, everybody knows about this.
Listen, this guy, I know about the daughter too. She's been very, very public about it. I didn't talk about that because that wasn't a time. Frankly, I don't know much about that other than what I've read. I know that his daughter did an interview and many interviews before with various people. I chose not to get myself involved in that because I got no beef with her. She doesn't.
Well, you don't have any beef yet, so just be careful. Time will tell. So either way, I'll be covering this more extensively on today's YouTube. I'm going to be promoting a very special GoFundMe to somebody who actually could use some help. Someone's got who has stage 4 breast cancer within our community. So if this case riles you up, and it really should, I think it should. But if it makes you feel a certain way, we can put our money into some more positive aspects. All right, speaking of money, congestion pricing begins in New York City. Let's cover this.
These are some of the first cars getting charged for congestion pricing as they pass through those scanners right behind me. It is 12:01 on January 5th, which means that New York City is officially the first city in the United States to implement congestion pricing.
Listen, I covered this where Kroger is going to be, changing the prices of avocados, congestion pricing. It's just another way to use technology to take money out of your pockets. And look, I understand some bridges have tolls and whatever, but people are not happy. And, you don't want to mess with the New Yorkers, all right? They're not happy with change here.
So what does that mean for you? Well, if you're traveling south of 60th Street, you will be charged $9 if you are traveling during peak hours, which is Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 9 p.m., weekends, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. As for the overnight toll, it'll be $2.25, and these prices are for sedans, SUVs, pickup trucks, and small vans.
So they got overnight patrols. They have surge pricing, $9 tolls each way. Here's what the New York Fire Department had to say, and why would they care? You'll find out.
This is a sad day for public safety for the New York City Fire Department. We have a very unique situation in which our members have utilized their vehicles in the past to transport their gear to arrive prior to the start of the tour, so there is no break in service. It allows not only better management but better continuity. Unfortunately, we're now telling those same members not to bring their car into the business district. We're actually incurring a larger cost on one civil servant over another.
So that's really interesting. Like you're now going to have first responders taking a subway into work, which there could be delays and things like that. And then you could say, well, why don't we give a pass on the toll to first responders? But then it's ripe for abuse because who gets a pass versus who doesn't? It sounds like an absolute mess. And speaking of messes and speaking of automation issues, here's footage of a man named Mike Johns sitting in the back of his Waymo ride, which won't stop circling a parking lot. That's right, Waymo is an autonomous vehicle, and it wouldn't stop to let him out.
Got a flight to catch. Why is this thing going in a circle? I'm getting dizzy. Look at what it's doing.
I understand. I'm really, really sorry, Mike. We're currently working with the situation of the vehicle. Is it circling around a parking lot, right?
It's circling around a parking lot. I got my seatbelt on. I can't get out the car. Has this been hacked? What's going on? I feel like I'm in the movies.
Because I feel like I'm in the movies. Listen, this is technology. This is AI. People that can't get out of cars. He's got a flight to catch. He's got to go fly with the guy who won the Golden Globe, and he can't get out of his own autonomous vehicle. All right, well, let's end on a happy story here. Happy in the sense that Michael J. Fox has a great story to share. If you haven't read his biography or heard much about his I would say ability to face adversity and maintain optimism with such a challenging life, he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Michael J. Fox is one of the most beloved actors of our time. With remarkable wit and charm, he introduced iconic characters to the center of American culture, from Alex P. Keaton to Marty McFly and more. With undaunted resilience and optimism, he also warms hearts and captivates audiences as a fearless advocate for those with Parkinson's disease, channeling his endearing personality to advance treatments, move us closer to a cure, and remind us of the power of American possibilities.
There it is. And then he's awarded. And that's right, the power of possibilities. We have President Joe Biden holding him up there, and they award him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. How nice. How nice to see. And like I said, if you haven't caught his documentary or his biography, it's absolutely fantastic. All right, well, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, I'll be live on YouTube to share the receipts that I have acquired, which is going to blow your mind regarding the money Laura Owens claimed to have with regard to Clayton Echard being her real estate agent. Is this a big deal? Well, I think it's worth reporting on, and we'll have to see what Rachel Mitchell, county prosecutor of Maricopa, has to say. I've got all that coming your way, and then we'll be back this afternoon. I'm Dave Neal. This is The Rush.